Yeah. Last night he did not play so well.
Still lying a lot, though.
Yeah. Did you watch the game?
No, I just watched stat lines because I want the Jazz to get someone good.
I think unless they really step up their game, they could be a Sweet 16 team, but it's not looking better than that right now.
I just imagine I'm going to be next to you, so I'm going to always go there unless they tell me no.
You were nice to me last year.
Yeah, it's very beneficial for me.
Yeah, we should.
I'm able to learn a lot more. How many officers do we have? Nice.
Sitting out here is here to speak at our public hearing, and they're here to make your life miserable, right? That's worth a shot. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here tonight. Really rather special occasion for us tonight. So we will, we're going to kick things off and turn the time over to our, who has this one tonight? See who has this one tonight? Captain Sarah McCain for our opening ceremony.
To do the pledge.
Lead us in the pledge, and then either
pledge.
a thought or a, all right, I can take the thought if you want, whatever.
If you want to take the thought. Okay, please stand. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
part on the.
Yeah, that'll be on the agenda. Always fun to surprise a council member when she doesn't realize she's in charge of the opening ceremony. So she would normally have our inspirational thought tonight, but so I will take that and just kind of, as you drove up tonight, hopefully you noticed that the city building's lit up yellow tonight. That's not normal for us. We're not, our signs aren't yellow throughout the whole city. Everything tonight is yellow. Today is International Holocaust Remembrance Day. And so in recognition of the 6 million people that were killed during the Holocaust, we've lit the building yellow. And we'd like to take just a moment of silence, if we could, for those who are remembering that. Thank you very much. Council, we have minutes to approve tonight from January 13th work session and policy session. Have you had a chance to review the minutes? Any additions or corrections? And entertain a motion on them.
Your Honor, I move to approve the minutes for the January 13th work and policy sessions and authorize your signature to any necessary documents.
And I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, minutes stand. Well, we're going to turn the time over to our police department for swearing in of 3 different officers. It's fantastic for us this evening.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council. It's a privilege to be here tonight. We appreciate our staff that are here as well to support our 3 new officers. We usually don't swear in 3 officers at a time. Can't remember the last time we did this, but this is because of the great support we have from our council of approving some new officers in the last fiscal year, or in this current fiscal year that added to our department. So this is a result of those new positions. So we're grateful for their support. So tonight we're going to be swearing in Officer Cam Cossey, Officer Cal Calder, and Sam Howell. And we'll have them come up. Want to come up here for a minute? And I'm not going to share anything. We'll just swear them in and get their badges on them, and then we have a meeting with their family after this, so we'll be chatting with them for a little bit. So tonight, I'm going to hand each of them their badge. And Officer Cossey here is going to have his wife, Kylie, if she wants to come up. And Officer Calder, his mom, Sarah. And Officer Howell, his wife, Ashley. If you guys want to come up. And we'll allow you to pin their badge on them. You can hug him, it's okay. Thank you. It's an honor to have you do that. And we're excited to have them on our department, and we'll chat more about our department here in a minute, but we'll turn the time over now to our city recorder for the swearing in. You're welcome to come up and take pictures, whatever you need to do.
I'll stand over here out of the way. I'm going to have you do the oath, and then you can step over and sign your papers. Raise your right hands and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Utah, and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
Well, it just doesn't get much cooler than that. As the father of two police officers and a fire chief, or fire captain, excuse me, we're thankful for you guys. I know what that is to be the father of some police officers and know what they go through. So we're excited that you guys have taken that responsibility on, and look forward to having you protect and defend all of our residents. So thank you very much. And Chief, I'll turn them loose with you.
You know, I opened every single attachment and I didn't think to.
I was thinking.
It's like a band new ship. Like we got a really cool rezone right now.
Electronic piece,
I'm gonna say
if you're on your phone or whatever, it doesn't,
There's one.
I can't see it.
Spencer will say.
So I have to actually open the whole thing and look at the agenda, because if I don't, I can't see it.
She's there.
And so it doesn't surprise me, but
That's
I'm trying to
So then I take
My bad.
you won't have to do it for another 5 meetings. So-
Yeah, that did work out. I appreciate the.
And just like that, we have cleared the room.
Wow.
Hi.
We do have a couple of public hearings this evening. First is to receive public comment on a zoning map amendment request by Davis County to rezone properties located at approximately 160 South Depot from UR Urban Mixed Residential to CV Civic. And I'll turn the time over to Tyson.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council. So to provide some background about this request, the zoning of the subject property is the UR zone. That's the urban residential zone in our downtown form-based code. They're requesting to rezone the properties to the CV zone, also a downtown form-based code zone. It's the civic zone. The purpose of the civic zone is to provide a civic and office campus in the core of downtown Clearfield City. And Davis County, they've owned the subject properties for a while now, but they're seeking to align the zoning of those properties with the zoning of the health department and the library as well. All of those are in the CV zone. But they have plans to redevelop the old D's Service Center, which is on the site. And what they're planning to do is build an emissions building, is what they're calling it. It's really an office, public service facility that would have one emissions bay to do what they call challenge testing for emissions testing. But with that, I wanted to just show a map of the subject properties here. You can see we've got two different maps on the screen. One is a general plan, future land use map. The other is the current zoning map. The subject properties are outlined in red. On the left-hand side with the general plan, you can see that blue area is what is designated as the community and civic area of our general plan, the future land use. That's the desired future land use of properties in that area. And then on the right-hand side, you can see that currently the properties are zoned UR. That's urban residential. But this is really a good opportunity where they're requesting to do a rezone to a zone that is in line with our future land use map. And that's really the analysis that staff had provided in the staff report, is just that the proposed amendment is consistent with the goals and objectives of the general plan and the future land use map. The civic zone is one of the appropriate zones for current and future public service uses and government facilities. And then additional analysis is just that these change conditions, the county looking to redevelop the site, the civic zone is conducive to what they're looking to do on the site. But also, this is an opportunity for the city to align the zoning of the properties with what we've got in the general plan for the future land use map. So here's just a recent photo of the existing building, the old D's Service Center on that site. So what they would do is they would demolish that building and then build a brand new building on basically a similar size and footprint of what that existing building is. They're small properties. A portion of the properties, the county recently added parking for their fleet vehicles. But then, yeah, the remainder of the property is really quite small and kind of an irregular shape, but their proposed building will be a similar square footage and footprint to what there is now. So the Planning Commission heard the request. They recommended approval. We had a City Council work meeting on January 13th, and now we've got the policy meeting and public hearing.
Okay. Thank you, Tyson. We'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak in regards to the zoning change?
Your Honor, seeing no public comment, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Second item is our public hearing to receive public comment on a city-sponsored zoning text amendment to establish a supportive housing overlay zone, an SH zone. We're going to go ahead and turn the time back over to Tyson. Welcome back.
Thank you. So with this request, there's been, in the last few years, the state of Utah has done some planning. They did a strategic plan titled Utah's Plan to Address Homelessness. That was done in 2023. There's been a few bills at the state legislature that have dealt with homelessness in the last few years. And with all of that, the state has requirements that Davis County has to meet now as far as providing a supportive housing facility somewhere within Davis County. So that's what Davis County is looking to do. They intend to build a facility that would allow for both permanent supportive housing and what they call transitional housing. But they've shared some distinctions between those two types of housing. The permanent supportive housing, that's a very specific housing that's geared to individuals making between 0 and 30% of the area median income. And then transitional housing, a little bit higher threshold, people making between 0 and 60% of the area median income. But the permanent supportive housing, another distinction is just that it's geared to those that may even need a lifetime of support. So that could be people with disabilities or even the elderly. So as far as the Davis County Supportive Housing Facility, what they've said is that they don't have plans for an emergency shelter, so there is a distinction between a homeless shelter and supportive housing. The county is not looking to establish a homeless shelter. The reason they've stated is because that doesn't do anything to address the root causes of homelessness. But as far as the status of that location of a supportive housing facility in the county, the location is still unknown. We understand that they're still looking for a site, but they have not found anything yet. With a supportive housing facility, specifically the Davis County facility, they're looking to do a mixed facility, like I said, that would have both permanent supportive housing and the transitional housing. And the size of the facility that they're looking to do is around 60 beds. They've got commitments from various agencies that will provide the services, the supportive services for individuals experiencing homelessness. So that's the background with the county and the state. So Clearfield, to be prepared and consider Clearfield's context in relation to supportive housing, is proposing this supportive housing overlay zone. And it's an overlay zone that could be applied to properties in the C1 zone in Clearfield City. So this map is just indicating each of the areas in the city where there are C1 zone properties. Most of the C1 properties are on the south of the city, closer to the border with Layton City, just along 1450 South and near the Davis Holy Cross Hospital. But the purpose of this overlay zone is to allow for supportive housing that would be paired with ongoing support services that really are intended to promote long-term stability for individuals affected by homelessness. As far as the city process for getting this SH zone approved and applied to property, it would require a rezone. It would require a development agreement that's within the development standards that are proposed, and it would also require just a standard site plan approval for the development of the site. As far as the development standards go, I wanted to go over what we have specifically in the ordinance for the overlay zone. The way it works with an overlay zone is the development standards of the underlying zone, so in this case the C1 zone, all of those development standards apply, but there may be more specific development standards specific to the SH zone, and there are a number of those in the proposed ordinance. So I'll go over those that are more specific to the SH zone, just to provide a summary. In the proposed ordinance, we've got a maximum number of units at 60 units for a supportive housing facility, and the density, based on City Council discussion, this has been updated since the work session, but the density would not exceed 16 units to the acre, and that is the density of the R3 zone. It was previously written that the density would not exceed 20 units per acre, so that's just been reduced a bit. Also, based on the City Council discussion, there's a maximum height, which is set to be 35 feet. Now, 35 feet is standard for most of the zones in Clearfield City and the zones that are within that area of the C1 zone. But what is unique to the development standards for the SH zone is we have it specifically written that they cannot be, a supportive housing could not be any greater than 2 stories above grade. So really just limited to 2-story facilities. An on-site manager would be required 24/7 for these facilities. The landscaped open space requirements for development of the site is 25%. That's more comparable to what we have in multifamily residential zones. The standard for the C1 zone would be quite a bit lower at 10%. So that's just meant to provide a good amount of landscaping for people that are living and making residence at a location. And then there would be a district transition buffer proposed if ever a supportive housing facility were developed adjacent to a single-family zone. We would have additional buffering standards and fencing and landscape screen requirements as well. As far as amenities that would be required for residents of the facilities, the standards are written to require 1 outdoor amenity and 1 indoor amenity. We don't go any more specific than that because it's tough to know exactly what the demand would be in the future or what exactly they would want to propose. So we are allowing for that flexibility. The details of those amenities could be worked out in a development agreement, which would be required as part of any SH zone development. As far as analyzing the general plan, the most applicable section of the general plan for this SH overlay zone would be the housing and neighborhoods section of the general plan. The overall goal of housing and neighborhoods section of the general plan is that Clearfield wants to provide a mix of housing choices. The key objective being to provide a range of housing types available to the Clearfield community and a range of neighborhoods as well. Specific strategies that would be related to the adoption of an SH zone, just a couple identified. One is integrating affordable and attainable housing options near and within Clearfield's key growth centers. A key reason why the C1 zone was identified is because it is near a center, what is considered our Clearfield Station urban center. But that center also places these potential facilities in close proximity to amenities, services, and transportation, public transportation as well. Another strategy from the general plan is to continue to collaborate with regional partners to promote healthy and active neighborhood environments and ensure access to essential services for residents of all ages, incomes, and abilities. Now, we don't know if Davis County is going to seek to locate supportive housing in Clearfield, but this ordinance sets us up to be able to collaborate with partners on a supportive housing facility specific to Clearfield's context. We've taken the time to really consider Clearfield's context and what would be most appropriate here in Clearfield. So the Planning Commission recommended approval of the SH overlay zone. We had a work meeting with the City Council January 13th, and tonight we've got the policy meeting and the public hearing.
Okay, thank you, Tyson. We'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak in regards to this item? We can get you to state your name.
Sure. My name is Michael Christensen. I actually didn't read the agenda before I came to this meeting tonight. I'm a relatively new Clearfield resident who lived in Layton for 10 years and saw the light, bought a house in your city, and came in late last year. But it just so happens that my two items that are of most interest to me are housing and disability services. And this just happens to touch on both of them. So I'm glad to be here. I'm also used to coming here on Tuesday nights, but I'm usually across the parking lot playing a saxophone with the band. So you're interfering
Well, thank
with
you.
that. And I'll let Richard know that you're part of the problem. So I like the idea of including a supportive housing matrix here. It should be no surprise to anyone on the board or in the room here that you don't make housing more affordable by making it more expensive, making it harder to build. So I'm puzzled by the reduction from 20 units an acre to 16 units an acre. All you're doing is making this more difficult. Supportive housing really succeeds when it's done in a small, dense area where you can be near a hospital, near a train station. So the two-story limit and the 16 units per acre makes no sense to me for trying to do something effective and efficient with the taxpayer dollars. I presume any sort of facility like this would be county funded rather than city funded, and that all's fair because Layton's not going to put one in their area, so let's take their tax dollars to do it at least. But those two modifications puzzle me. I see no reason to limit it to go at least 3 stories. Land in all of Davis County is too valuable to have 35-foot limits on anything, whether it's single family or commercial. We have got to do better. And we've done a good job of that in Clearfield. I did my homework before I moved in. But those particular restrictions to make this more expensive, more difficult, and less efficient, I don't understand.
Thank you. All right, any other comments? Okay.
Your Honor, seeing no more public comment, I move to close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. That brings us to our open comment period. I don't have any forms from anyone to speak this evening. Seeing none, we will go ahead and move forward. Next item is to consider approval of ordinance 2026-03, approving zoning map amendment requested by Davis County that we just discussed, had the presentation by Tyson. Council, any questions or concerns for Tyson? Okay, seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Your Honor,
Not by everybody at once.
I move to approve ordinance 2026-03, approving the zoning map amendment request by Davis County to rezone the properties located at approximately 160 South Depot Street from UR to CV and authorize your signature to any necessary documents.
Second.
We have a motion.
It does not matter. Just pick before.
We have a motion and a second. Councilmember Worth?
Aye.
Councilmember Tyson?
Aye.
Councilmember King?
Aye.
Councilmember Peterson?
Aye.
Councilmember Rashford?
Aye.
That is unanimous. And that brings us to our next item, which is consider approval of ordinance 2026-02, approving a zoning text amendment requested by Clearfield City to establish a supportive housing overlay zone. Council, questions, comments? I will say that we discussed at length why, that reasoning. Our densest zone in the entire city is an R3, which is 16 units an acre. And so it didn't seem right to say, let's create a whole nother zone that's more dense than that and right next to neighborhoods. The only places that this fit really was within a few different spots, as you saw on the map. and they all abut a residential neighborhood. And so to go into a single-family, one-story neighborhood and bring in 3 stories above them just didn't seem prudent. It wasn't fair to the neighbors who bought their home and have been there for 20, 30 years, and all of a sudden build something that was 3 stories and really, really dense next to them. We've made a commitment with any density to keep it on our downtown corridors and straight on the corridors. This had to stray from that a little bit because of where it would fit, period. And we don't know that it'll ever be used. But we wanted to at least be there for the county in case they do make that decision. But that was the reasoning behind it. And I understand what you're saying, but that was our thought process through that.
Your Honor, and, go ahead.
You first.
In consideration as well, one of the conversations that came up that I think has been brought up tonight very well is there are levels to doing this where it makes sense to do well, and the amount of space and being able to provide the services for those that are most vulnerable in our community and do it well. The areas in Clearfield where this could be put are parcels of land that are fairly small compared to what you would need to really do a project of this and do it well, and are in established neighborhoods with single-story densities. And as we've looked at juggling, because I've got kids in my basement that please may they leave my house someday, including one on the spectrum. So there's going to be a range of housing needs. We want to balance the fact that density is not evil and there's no bad housing choices, and so we have gone very aggressive in our heights and densities along our corridor because of the land, among other reasons. But in areas where we have infill, which is where some of these C1 properties would fall, where we have established neighborhoods and densities and uses, there's also a consideration of the people that have invested in our community, built right there, and understanding there's a fundamental disruption. This council hasn't been supportive of no disruption because we continue to need and want to house our fellow residents here, and it will be a disruption, but there can be a balance in this. And so as we looked at the zone, I was an advocate of pulling this back to 16, very vocally for it, because it keeps it, to the mayor's point, in the same density realm that we've done anywhere else. And so it felt consistent to do that. But I understand the limits that this does place on it. And so, again, to the mayor's point, there may not be places in Clearfield where this makes sense, because there may just we may need more land and more space to be able to do it efficiently and be able to provide the resources to as many people as possible. But in my opinion, as this is drafted with that 16 units to an acre, which is consistent with the R3 zone, and with the height, it found a way to blend and find some recognition of the established residents that were in that neighborhood.
Yeah, Councilmember Peterson shared a lot of the relevant rationale. I just want to say that I hear you when you say that because land is so finite in Davis County, limiting the use of that land is only going to perpetuate the issue of cost. I think what we've been so deliberate about as we've considered this overlay is finding a way to say yes, to be a part of the solution on this particular issue. And what you mentioned that was very meaningful to me and just relevant to the conversation is if we're considering supportive housing, it does need to be proximal to a hospital or to transit. In our city, the areas where that would be compatible as far as allowing the county to operate if they choose to locate in our city are minimal. We're largely built out. However, we wanted to find that way to say yes. And it really is just something that I've echoed for a long time, is that I don't think any neighborhood is adverse to any change at all, but no neighborhood should overnight experience radical change. And there's growth that has to take place as far as changing that paradigm in a community that's as built out as ours, that is as a legacy community as ours. But the need for housing and supportive housing will certainly outpace the need for 60 beds, which is what the county is looking to do. As the average price stays around $600,000 and the nature of supply and demand pushes that upward, that need will grow and our county will grow, and we'll have to find creative solutions to meet that need.
Well, and the county's required, I mean, that's what they're looking at, and the 60 is because that's what they're required now to,
Yes.
by state law to do. They've got to find a place or create 60 beds of permanent supportive housing. That said, it also doesn't say it needs to be in one specific place, so that could be spread out. And with height, I toured the Other Side Academy this last week. Got to go down and take a tour of the Other Side Academy, which is all individual, single-family, small, 400 square foot, not even maybe 400, 350 to 400 square feet in each one of these units, and they're all self-sustaining, in a wonderful gated, protective community. So it's doable, and it was probably one of the nicest places that their amenities there, when we talked about needing something inside and outside, they've done it. And none of the units have laundry. They're all in a communal laundry so that they do get together and associate with each other. So it's nice to meet with the people and talk to their HOA. And the entire thing is run by former participants in the program. So it's really cool.
Thank you for sharing. I love what they're doing over there.
It's really impressive. And they've got so much more coming than what they've built already. But, okay, if there's no more comments, I'd entertain a motion, council.
I move to approve the ordinance 2026-03, approving a zoning text amendment.
02.
02. I'm the wrong one, sorry. Approving a zone text amendment request by Clearfield City to establish a supportive housing overlay zone, SH zone, in the Clearfield City Code, and authorize the mayor's signature to any necessary documents.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Councilmember Rashford?
Aye.
Councilmember Peterson?
Aye.
Councilmember Worth?
Aye.
Councilmember King?
Aye.
Councilmember Thompson?
Aye.
Okay, that is unanimous. And item number 7 on our agenda tonight is the approval of, to appoint, or my appointment of Nicholas Dragon as a permanent member of the Planning Commission, a regular member of the Planning Commission. You all know Nick. He's been serving as an alternate since October 2024 and has been very effective in attending the meetings and participating. So as we have an opening, a couple of openings now, it's my recommendation that we move Nick from an alternate position to a regular member, and would entertain a motion to that effect.
I apologize, it keeps lagging on me. Your Honor, I'd move to approve and consent to your appointment of Nicholas Dragon as a regular member of the Planning Commission with a term effective date of March 1st, 2026, and an expiration date of February 28th, 2029, and would authorize your signature to any necessary documents.
And I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. That brings us to our communication items. I think you all know I got the opportunity to go meet with Skyla this last week. She was the girl that was attacked by, she was the girl that saved the boy that was being attacked by a dog. So just a huge thanks to our fire and our police departments for showing up as well. It was really cool to have them there, as well as the principal and her staff to show up from Antelope Elementary and others. It was a really neat event from someone that I would call a true hero. She saved that kid's life. And they did this event because of the PTSD that she's been having. It did a number on her. And so she saved a kid's life, and the crying and the tears and the blood just kind of affected her. So it was really nice to be able to get together and do that. A note that I will be out, although I'm not out of town right now like I should have been, I still am going out of town Thursday and be back Friday night. So it's all yours, Megan.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
We did have our Job Corps luncheon this last week, and thanks, Councilmember King, for being there as well. It was probably the smallest Job Corps luncheon that I've ever been to, a community luncheon. It was really thin. So it's that time of year, and they kind of expected it. But and I need. I have been serving for years now on the United Way Promise Partnership Regional Council. My schedule is no longer to a point where I can make that work. They've got some online meetings, but they've got at least 3 a year that are in person. And I've told them I'm just not. I've missed meetings, and so they've asked if we would be willing to have another council member participate in those meetings. It is youth focused, it is 100% education focused. They have been phenomenal about working with schools and coming up with new programs, piloting them with the schools, and then pushing them out. And where Clearfield is, they have 3 Promise partnerships in the state. One of them is in Clearfield. We have Promise Clearfield here, and so it's wrapped up with the Community Learning Center and Davis School District. And in fact, the superintendent sits on the partnership as well. So if you're interested, let me know. You don't need to tell me now. I'm happy to go over it with you and let you know what qualifications are. I think their next meeting's in March. But just so you're aware. And then hopefully you also, we had our league LPC meeting this week. There's an interesting bill that's coming through there. We all knew about taxation. We all knew about the housing, all of those things that we continue to deal with. But there is a bill restructuring the governance of UTA, which will eliminate the 3-member board or trustees from UTA, and as well as the advisory council, and replace it with a 7-member board appointed by 2 by the House, 2 by the Senate, 3 by the governor, and none of them can be elected officials, which is a total shift in direction for UTA. There's some concern. I certainly have some concern. One, because of the qualifications they put on those 7 people, that they've got to be familiar with transit and have a really kind of a familiarity with how that system kind of runs, and that yet it's a non-paying job. There's a per diem for their meetings. So if they have to go to a meeting, they're paid to be to the meeting, but that's it. And then there's no representation from the cities where we really have the input, need the input for Clearfield Station, for double tracking, for all of that. And we have no input if that's the case. So we'll be addressing that, but keep that on your radars, because they'll need voices to, once we finally do get that finalized.
Do you know, just a quick question, who the bill sponsor is, or if that would come out of the House or Senate?
Oh, it's coming out of the House. It's, no, Senate, excuse me. It's Senator Harper and then Representative Christopherson.
Interesting. Thank you.
And Harper also has the bill going through for UDOT's review. Not really as much a review of their structure, other than, yes, it is a review of their structure, but it's a justification of the way they're structured right now, and is it effective? And put some screws to them as well for transportation.
Interesting.
But given that it is Harper, he runs most of the transportation bills, and I haven't seen one yet that Harper runs that doesn't get passed, so it just, might get adapted a little bit, but yeah, it leaves me a little nervous for how UTA gets run. But anyhow, that's all I got. Councilmember Peterson.
Well, I don't have anything controversial from the state to share with you. Kind of bad. As we just talked about before this meeting, I had a chance to join with other city leaders over the weekend to celebrate the building dedication of one of our faith members in our community, the Nations for Christ community, as you all know, who purchased the library from us and have been undertaking massive renovations for the last several years. So it was great to see how much they have invested in this community, in the people, and also in the facilities, and making that a place where people gather for a lot of reasons. So our congratulations to them, and appreciate all that they do to just take care of those that are in need and suffering, especially with food has been something that they have really championed. So
I would also say, if you have not been to that building, go.
Gorgeous.
Holy cow, you'd never want in a million years know that was the library. It doesn't have any resemblance of the library.
I mean, it was an 80s era grayish yellow brick building, and if you remember Legacy in Clearfield, either going into that meeting or into that building and having meetings, or going to story time there. I mean, it was a building that had long outlived its usefulness, and we had talked, as the county looked at originally years ago, renovating that building and then realizing like, I think we should just build something new because of where that building was for this congregation to take that on and find credentialed individuals who were able to gut and renovate it on the level that it needed. I mean, this was not taking it down to bones. It was, we bone grafted, we transplanted, but it's a beautiful facility. It's secure. There's a lot of care that goes into making this a space that they can do a lot of things and to serve the community, but there's also a disability focus too in some of the ways that they've set up their children's care areas, that it reflects how much they care about the community and the people that they'll serve through there. So just a beautiful building, and they've even done a lot on the outside with just the landscaping and making sure that this building not only is beautiful on the inside, but that the impact that it has in that neighborhood, it's one of our legacy neighborhoods, is just beautiful. So especially drive by it at night when it's all lit up. They just recently repainted it too. If you haven't seen that, the white, black, and
Yes.
kind of that brown. It's been beautifully redone, so it's fun to see it.
And a nice note on that, we know that the county's initial thought was, let's renovate it. Can it be renovated? How do we renovate it? Oh my gosh, this is an old building, and is it seismically ready? And they would have gone down that avenue. That was still their plan, because they didn't have another piece until we offered them ours and traded some land with them. But they just announced yesterday that the Bountiful Library will be shutting down for the next 2 years while they renovate that building. So Bountiful was supposed to get the brand-new, beautiful library, and we got it instead, and they're going to renovate Bountiful's building. So
That's wonderful.
Good on us.
Good on us. Good on us. So, but again, we appreciate.
Sorry.
No, but it was great to have the mayor there, Councilmember Thompson, and our chief of police. He was here earlier. It was great to have, just to see like that there's a lot of connections within this community. So we appreciate that. And then from Wasatch Integrated, as I mentioned, tail end of last year, Wasatch Integrated is in the process of doing a recycling audit by city. What that looks like is in staggered batches, they will pull a specific truck that they know is coming in from one of our haulers from a city, and they take everything off of that truck and sort it and do a really comprehensive analysis of what comes in, just on the recycling side. What they're looking for is your percentage of cardboard, cans, plastics, and the stuff that shouldn't be in there and how much it contaminates and junks up your load. So the first 4 cities that are part of the district have had a chance to go through an audit. Clearfield hasn't been one of those yet, but it's interesting to see some of the things that are coming through on the first 4. So we had Sunset, Syracuse, Fruit Heights, and the 4th city of escapes me, my apologies. But what's interesting to see is cardboard is still the number 1, but there is a fair amount of contaminated cardboard that comes in. So just as a reminder, if it's your pizza box, the answer is no. If it's the cardboard that you bought your detergent in and it leaked, the answer is no, because it does contaminate, and once it gets wet, you can't use it, and we toss it, and so it does matter the quality. It's interesting to see another thing that ends up in there a ton that doesn't belong there is glass, and because our facility can process glass, but it is not a service we have that we offer right now, and people throw in glass all the time, and so it's something that we have to pull out, and it becomes an issue, but that's something that goes in there. And then today, it was West Bountiful. West Bountiful won in their audit because people were putting in clothing that probably should go to someplace like DI or Savers. That is a form of recycling and addresses the growing impact of fast fashion on our landfills, but it does not go in your recycling bin. That goes down to Layton, and they give you a coupon. It's green and red. It is not in your green and yellow bin. So the district is compiling all of that information sometime this spring. They're not telling us when. Clearfield will be up on that. I will bring that information back, but what it will also allow us to do is to look at what the averages are for every type of recyclable that the district offers. So everything that we recycle, just a little bit of myth busting here, we do have outside buyers for, so that is sold. So we sell our cardboard, our cans, our metal, the different recyclable plastics. We do have a category that is combustible, so it is not true recycling in the interest of disclosure, but it's like our mixed paper. And so we'll take that, and that is trucked up the canyon up to Morgan, and it is used to help as an alternative fuel for the cement plant that's up there. So it does divert it from the landfill, and they do carefully watch the emissions on that. But it is all stuff that gets diverted from our landfill. And then as a final update from Wasatch Integrated, we have now are diverting 37,000 tons of waste away per month from the landfill. It was something to remember. It was kind of a pet project of mine along with Layton City to drastically reduce the amount of waste that was coming in from outside of the district, in addition to our recycling efforts. It has plunged, and we are down to 20% of what it used to be in reducing that. So while there is a revenue impact on that, it adds significant amount to our landfill life. And so if you look at the graphs, it goes like this, and we've shut it off. So if you've gone there and have been concerned, if you live in the district, you are still fine. It's like $25 to take your pickup truck on a Saturday and go dump your stuff. But if you live outside of the district, if you're coming in from South Weber or Uinta, it's $50. If you're bringing up your trailer that used to be $50, it's $100 now. We're using dollars to help drive behavior, and it has been incredibly effective. So that's something that we're excited to see that trend and hope that we can continue to do that. We need that livelihood for us, not to take care of our friends in other communities that have two options to the north. So.
We should make a note and at least Facebook post that, or social media post. Not that it's coming, but I mean maybe this is what they're seeing, and really get our residents to just a renewed understanding of.
Yeah, and to that end, I've got pictures that came through the most recent audit. JJ, I'll send those to you if you want to forward those along. But it just is a reminder of just take one extra second when you're putting stuff away. Also a note on that, and I'll send this to JJ too, is something as simple as please wash out your cans before you do it. We use AI in our separator at our MRF, and so it goes by weights. And so as it's auto-sorting things, it will separate your 20-ounce plastic bottle if it's empty. If you left some of the liquid in it, it diverts it because it doesn't recognize it as that bottle. If you've got, half of the can that you didn't use on your food when you were making dinner last night and threw it in the recycling, thank you, but one, you probably just contaminated all the paper in there, and the weight throws it off. And so we have manual sorters that do a good job of trying to pull stuff off, but it's going to send it to the landfill. So it's just one of those things that just take 2 extra seconds, be a nice human, and make sure it's nice and pretty.
Okay, Councilmember Worth.
Well, I'll kind of hit all the main things. Getting settled into the new year, getting settled on some new boards. I'll leave the fire district to Megan as I'm still getting my bearings there. But I really wanted to let you guys know that Open Doors is finally closed on their new building. They've taken possession. They're in the process of transitioning to that new facility, which will do wonders for the services that they offer. And we learned in our board meeting this month that the Circles program over the last year and a half or so has seen such a drastic turnaround as far as participation from the community. They used to have, I think they said, roughly 4 allies when they need 10 times that. And in that short time frame, they've been able to quadruple that participation. They're getting better results out of the participants in the program, which has been very heartening to see. I want to give a shout out to our Parks Department, or the Parks Commission and our Parks Department, for their responsiveness to the amount of public comment we had in our last meeting. It's more than we've ever had in this chamber since I've been on the council. We had a lot of people show up, as we heard in our last meeting here, about the status of Seed Pond and the conditions that the ducks are facing, and just kind of the debris that results from the fishing. And our Parks Commissioners were eager to listen, eager to act. The city has done a good job of putting out some awareness material today, actually, that I thought was beautifully well done. But there's a need to clean up some of that debris, and they may be putting on some opportunities to help bring the community out to participate in that. And as that becomes clear, I'll let you guys know so that you have that opportunity as well. This last week, the Youth Commission and I spent some time up at the Capitol and at the Salt Palace for Local Officials Day with the League. Big shout out to Steve Hyatt and Representative Peterson for helping set up meetings, tours of all of the areas in the Capitol that the kids otherwise wouldn't have an opportunity to see. They even got an opportunity for the kids to meet Governor Herbert, so we spent some time talking to him. They were picking his brain. This group of kids we have right now is something special. They come prepared. They're ready to ask meaningful questions. They've researched bills. I'm very impressed with the kids that we have and the leadership that they're exhibiting going forward. And then lastly, we've talked about some of the state things that are happening that are concerning, but the good news is the governor has appointed me to serve on the Olene Walker Housing Loan Fund Board. So I'm excited that as we've been so invested in creating housing opportunities here in Clearfield, that I'll have the opportunity to serve in a different way and impact some of those allocations that actually get housing out of the ground. So
Congratulations on that. That is awesome.
thank you. That's really all I've got.
Okay, Councilmember Ratchford?
Okay. So in December, the fire department had a 3% increase year over year. Clearfield City had 246 calls, where Sunset had 47, West Point 39, and Syracuse 8. So it has increased, but it's still lower than in December than it's been historically, even with the increase. Over a year, 5% increase for us at Clearfield 42 and 41. And at 1.96 of those calls were 2+. 9 times there were 3+ calls going on at the same time. And there was only 1 time, which is good, there was 4 calls going on at the same time. So they are, they're starting to pick up a little bit of business, trying to make sure that fires stay in check. It's been a weird, busy fire year, I guess, for the beginning of the year. And hopefully that stops soon. So that's what I have.
What, since I was unable to be there that night, what happened with our elections?
Oh, I got vice chair. I didn't get chair. I got vice chair.
And who is chairing?
She voted for herself twice.
Mayor Wiggle?
I did too, yes, Scott. You got it. So I'm going to learn a lot, and I love it, but I wanted to be a chair. So eventually, I'll get there.
Yep. Sometimes you're a chair, sometimes you're a sofa. Councilmember King?
All right. Like you said, I attended the Job Corps luncheon. I always really like going to those and talking to the students. They'll usually put one student at each table. This last time I sat with a student who came to Clearfield on purpose, specifically for the advanced welding, because that program is one of the best in the nation. And I've heard that from several students that come here for an advanced program because it's the best in the nation, and I want to continue supporting those students and letting them know that they're welcome here in Clearfield and that we want the best future possible for them. And then Communities That Care recently did their SHARP survey, the student health and risk prevention. Parents opt into it, and the students answer questions about drug usage, mental health, things like that, and then they collect the data. And last year's data showed that students are using marijuana, alcohol a lot less than, is thought. Especially, they're saying that they think usage is really high, but whenever they're reporting their usage, it's low. So this year they're going to be kicking off a program that's basically showing the students that it's not as prevalent as they think, because you want to do what's cool and what your peers are doing, and if they think that they're using drugs and alcohol, then they're more likely to try it. So they're kicking off a program to show kids that these surveys are showing that they're really not using it as much as we think. So they just recently did this year's, and they'll be presenting the data soon. But I'm really excited to continue seeing what they're doing and how they're using data to drive the programs and services that they're offering through the program.
Excellent. Okay. Councilmember Thompson?
No, Nick already was at the church, so, nothing much to report from me, so.
Okay. Staff reports, JJ?
Yeah, thank you all for your participation in the retreat 2 Fridays ago. It's a really good day. And then that evening with the employee recognition appreciation holiday party. That was another good evening. So thank you for your attendance and your support and all those things. And as department heads, we met last Friday in a follow-up retreat as well and had more good discussion. And as we mentioned 2 Fridays ago, starting next week, we will be having our budget committee meetings with the different departments. So that'll go on for the next couple of weeks on various days, usually Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. We're kind of packing that middle part of the week. If any of you want to participate in any of those, or if you have inquiries about, timings or which department we're doing which day, just let me know. Happy to share that information. That's all I've got.
Okay, Nancy?
Just to go over our schedule, we have work session next week. We're lining up interviews for the Parks and Recreation Commission vacancy and the Planning Commission vacancy. And then we'll have work session, policy session on February 10th. Is that right? I'm trying to remember the dates right. And again, work session, policy session on February 24th. We haven't got anything scheduled on the 17th yet, but that could change. So.
Okay, any other staff reports? Okay, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We stand adjourned. Thank you, everyone.